Do you understand? Yeah, that's Al Pacino. I'm imitating Al Pacino. Imitation is actually a compliment. Salome, if you come and dance for me, come, dance for me, Salome. I will give you anything your heart and soul desires. Of course, I'm paraphrasing and I'm doing my own interpretation. If you're being slapped with a lot of things which are mediocre, of course you're going to be more used to them. You're going to recognize those. There are fewer people understanding brilliance in work, and there are more people understanding mediocrity in work. People such as Harry and Meghan and their mediocrity. So we will award the mediocrity much more. Hello, everyone. This is Mihaela with Art of Experiencing. I, for the first time since the pandemic, went to see a Broadway play, A Doll's House, with Jessica Chastain playing Nora. The direction was by English director Jamie Lloyd. Jessica Chastain, director Jamie Lloyd. The play A Doll's House, Henrik Ibsen. Of course, the play is a classic. Usually when I go to see a theatrical event on Broadway, not that I go often, but the times that I do go, I am left with an impression of disappointment. There's not a lot of moments. There's not a lot of theatrical experiences, in my opinion. There's not a lot of movie experiences in a whole year that deserve applause. Well, I have to tell you, this particular show on Broadway is beyond expectations. To have the collaborative creative team imagine a play such as A Doll's House, which is so classic, have it reimagined in a way that stays true to the story, stays true to the playwright, even though it's an adaptation, it's a reimagined version. I was blown away. Acting alone. Acting was the main element of it. The stage is bare. There's nothing on the stage. Jessica Chastain, the famous, wonderful actress Jessica Chastain, who I believe is a graduate of Juilliard. She understands acting. Everybody knows that she's really wonderful in the movies that we've seen her in. Many years ago, when I first became a lifetime member of the Actor Studio, I remember we were told that we could go watch Al Pacino in rehearsals for another wonderful play, Salome. Salome was played in the beginning by Marisa Tomei, but then when he got to the stage, I believe, when he got to the filmed stage work, it was Jessica Chastain who played Salome. I don't know if I'm sure. I believe that it was Al Pacino who discovered Jessica Chastain, because the dance of the seven veils Jessica Chastain does in Salome, when King Herod, Al Pacino says, Salome, Salome, come, dance for me, Salome. And then, of course, she does the dance of the seven veils, and it's so sexy, so amazing, and it's so seductive. He is the stepfather to Salome. Everybody goes crazy because she dances beautifully. She's sexual but not vulgar, seductive. And then when she finishes, he says, what do you want, Salome? What do you want, Salome? I will give you anything you ask for. I want. Well, no, that's Al Pacino. Now I have to do Jessica Chastain. I want. No, I'm not going to do Jessica Chastain because I can't. I want the head of John the Baptist on a platter. Of course she gets it, because her objective was to seduce her stepfather, the king, in order to get the head of John the Baptist on a platter. And she gets it. That's how great acting is supposed to happen. So those people who say acting is just about going back and forth, giving lines, going back and forth, giving lines, bullshit. It's not the way that it's supposed to happen. So I think I saw her in a rehearsal, but I'm not sure if it was her. I'm not sure if it was Marisa Tomei. I might have seen her. So this was 21 years ago. So she was very young. I think that was the first time that the public got to see her on Broadway, if I'm not mistaken. Al Pacino did a reading on Broadway, the play, and it was also filmed. I believe it was directed by Estelle Parsons. She was an artistic director of the Actor Studio. So when I went to see her in A Doll's House, I decided that I was going to buy tickets. Expensive, they're very expensive. So I was able to get some tickets. They were so. I went because it was a present for myself, a present for Jeremy, my boyfriend, celebration of spring and all of that. And I was so glad that I went to see it because I was confirmed what I knew all along. I was confirmed that when acting is done at the level at which these actors in A Doll's House did it, it is mind-blowing, captivating. The play goes on for an hour and 45 minutes about. There's no intermission. So when we read that, we thought it was going to be boring. We thought it was going to be something that's been done. So this is what this amazing director did. I don't know much about him. Like, I had not heard of him before. He reimagines A Doll's House with a bare stage. The only thing that will tell you that this is a classic is on the back wall, they write simple. They just write the year in which the play happened. It's 1879. As the audience comes in, she is on the stage that has this circle that rotates, but you can't tell the difference between where the stage, the center of the stage is rotating, and then when you step off of it, it doesn't. There's no props, there's no furniture, there's no set design. Well, there is a set design, but it's bare stage. Actors don't have anything to hang on to. The acting is so visible. So if the acting was not at the standard of excellence, at the standard of brilliance, Jessica Chastain, leading this amazing team of actors, was able to bring it, it would have been a disaster. They're not hiding behind props. They're not hiding behind set changes. They're not hiding behind music. The only sound throughout the entire play that you hear is whenever another character comes in, there's a doorbell ring, the classical ring of the doorbell. The entire time, almost, the other characters are on stage. So you're seeing these actors at work for the duration of the entire play. It is so magnificently done because it requires for your instrument as the actor to be so available, to be so in the moment. Another thing that this director does brilliantly, which if I did not see this in practice, I would have never thought that it would be possible to do such a thing. Never thought it would have been possible. Even though I had something in mind about it, it doesn't matter. Jessica Chastain is seated in a seat, as you saw in the little video. For those of you who are listening, you did not see the little video that I showed from my phone that I was able to record. But she's seated as the audience, as we, the members of the audience, are walking into the theater. She's on that circle center stage, moving around, and she's waiting for the audience to come in. That is the actor at work. She is in a chair, hands crossed, focusing, imagining, preparing for Nora, preparing herself as the actress to be able to be ready for her imagination to take flight and combine her acting behavior with the character's behavior to bring it to the level of excellence that she's able to bring it. She's in that chair for almost the duration of the entire play. There's no outer activities. There's no outer actions. Sitting on the chair, her husband, the other character, walks in. I think in the beginning they do walk in, so they're not on stage because Jessica is on stage, Nora by herself. The other actor who plays the husband walks on. She knows her senses have to be so heightened. Her sense of hearing has to be so heightened in order for her to be prepared to respond without turning. She doesn't turn to make eye contact. She doesn't turn to make any kind of gestures towards him. She's seated in the chair. As he approaches towards her where she's sitting and he brings a chair, she's already having a dialogue with him without looking at him, because the senses are so heightened. The energy between the two of them is already sufficient. They don't even have to look at each other. It was such a beautiful, powerful moment to watch, not knowing that it was going to continue like that for the duration of the entire play. Sitting on that chair, and you can see the relaxation of the actress in the chair, which is absolutely beautiful. She just sits there, and he's somewhere, he ends up being next to her on the chair. Oh, I want to have a lot of money. I want to spend a lot of money. She uses, not only her, but all the other actors, what I've noticed, what they do. I don't know if it's with the knowledge of the director's understanding of acting, probably. I don't know if consciously he knew that he was using acting tools. So the syllables by syllable speaking, I thought they took it from the song exercise from the actors. There's a song exercise where it's requiring of you to not move. It's requiring of you to find a song. It can be a song, but then you can transfer the same word to the text where you're doing the song syllable by syllable. For example, if I'm going to sing happy birthday, I would be happy birthday to you. I want money. I think that was the song exercise that was then turned into the way that the characters are speaking, into the behavior of the characters. And I always say, the actors' exercises, the actors' challenges and overcoming them, and their strategies on how to overcome them, if they become the character's behavior, that's where the great acting comes from. A lot of the people do not know that, because a lot of the people do not know great acting. All of this is happening with all of the characters. The movement of the characters is almost zero. When they come to approach Nora, who's maintained that sitting position in the chair, almost everybody gets on the circle. So the circle is what moves them. They don't move. They just get on the circle. The circle is moving around Jessica. So they come in contact, or they come to her side and they grab a chair. The only props, the only things that they had to deal with, the only furniture, the only set that they had in moving objects around were chairs. Another thing that I noticed, which I say all the time to all the actors, do not drag chairs on stage. Yeah, but in real life, I drag my chairs. Well, this is not real life. You have to come up with an artistic decision when you are on stage or when you are on set in front of cameras. You can't just say, yeah, but this is what I do in life, so I'm just going to imitate life in art. Art imitates life, then it adds a sprinkle of artistry to it. And you become aware of dragging the chair being annoying to the audience. So you pick it up. Everything is so disciplined, and within that discipline, there is spontaneity. You have to have discipline in order to be able to have spontaneity in that discipline. She's moving like this on the circle. The entire movement of Jessica Chastain is basically on the chair. So everything that she does has to be done while seated. When she goes into the agony, when she realizes that she's going to have to make the decision that she has to leave her husband and her children, because she realizes that she is just a doll in this house, a doll. She has no rights. She has no love. What she thought the love to be from her husband was not. It was control. It was ownership. The agony, knowing that she is going to have to leave her family, her children, her husband, to be able to go into the world and find herself as a human first. She realizes, due to all of the things that are happening in the play, that she is of no worth in the situation she's in. She needs to discover herself. She needs to make herself priority to maybe come back and be better for her family if she ever decides to come back. This was a play when it was written so many years ago about a woman leaving her husband and her children. People were so taken aback. They could not believe that such a story was being told. They could not even understand that such a thing would be allowed or possible. How dare women want to be at the same level of humans as men? It was such a disturbing play when it was written. And you would think that it doesn't make sense in today's times, but the way that this was reimagined, it made so much sense because there's so much happening in today's life we can associate this play. That's why these plays are so enduring, no matter how much time passes by. And that's why they're being done over and over again, because they were so brilliantly written about conditions of relationships, human relations, humanity. So they never are going to get old. Okay, there's a doctor that she has a beautiful relationship with. She has a very intimate relationship, and then they go back to the syllable by syllable dialogue between the two of them. Take me to have some oysters. And then she does the animal exercise, the agony in the chair when she knows the decision has to be made for her to leave her children, bows her head, and to me felt like she was doing an animal exercise because the growl that comes out of her was felt. It was felt throughout the entire theater. It was so palpable. It was so powerful. The emotions, you could just feel the emotions, even though there was not a lot of movement. There was not a lot of eye contact, but the contact was happening through the energy. The contact was happening because all of these actors were individually being so prepared in their roles. They were such great actors. So when you have great actors, you don't need to have the loud music, the smoke, and the everything else, all the external elements, because you're trying to hide the bad acting. This was bare, just about acting. So if anybody gets a chance to go see it, you should go see it on Broadway. It was amazing. The children, when she has a conversation with the children and the nanny appears, but the children, she uses the fourth wall meaning all of a sudden you hear the recordings of the children's voices. So she uses the fourth wall, still from the chair. The children, you hear the recording coming from the children, their voices. My dear children, my beautiful children. So she uses the people, the children, the characters who are not on stage, off stage. Another thing that I keep saying to actors, if you are talking to somebody who's not there, if you are supposed to talk to somebody who is real, is not in the play, in the scene, on stage with you, don't place that imaginary being next to you on stage, because it's more difficult to create that believable moment for the audience, because it's difficult to create it for yourself. Or if you do it, then you have to take time and you have to use your senses in order to create a child. If you imagine the child to be sitting next to you in an empty chair, all you have to do is take a moment, use the sense of touch to just imagine that you're touching the beautiful child's head and you're just caressing it or letting the child know that you love them. If you're not going to do that, the fact that the director plays the recording coming from there, and she, the actress, allowed herself to go there, say, my children. So she was looking over our heads, the fourth wall, meaning she pushed it back, the imaginary wall, and she imagined the children to be outside. They're playing, my darling children, come. Have you had a good time playing today? Would you like to come? Oh, you want to play? Oh, this is so great. And then as they were approaching, she was backing in the chair as if they were coming closer to her. But she never placed them on the stage. They were always off stage, because it's easier to make the audience believe. I did not see the children. Nobody saw the children. And they were so real to all of us for the simple fact the director knew how to place them out there. Beautifully done. The moment, which is known for the moment of the plays, when she makes the decision to leave So everybody knows about the doll's house, that it's about the first time in history of playwriting where a woman leaves her husband and her children. Unheard of. Even in today's times, it's something that's not common. I mean, it is more common, but it's still not. We were all waiting to see how was the door slamming in the classical way that it was written. There's a door that slams when Nora leaves. So she actually opens the door, I'm leaving, leaves, and slams the door. The door is such a known moment for a doll's house because there was no doors. There was nothing. It was just a bare stage. We were all anticipating how this was going to be done. You would not believe what they came up with. Oh, before she leaves, there was something else that happened. There was a moment where they're supposed to go entertain people, and usually the husband, of course, who sees her as a doll, says, I want you to prepare your beautiful dance. She's trying to, she says, I don't know, can you help me with the dance? I don't know how to do it, because she's trying to get him off of the subject of the money that was borrowed and all these other things that are happening. So she's on the chair and she does the dance only with her feet, only with her feet. And then she claps. She claps. She says, clap, clap, letting the violence that she's feeling, the violent feeling that she's feeling towards her husband, realizes that's not love, what he's giving her. She moves the feet in the chair, and then she does this. Huh, 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 huh. The repetition exercise, which is another actor's tool that becomes the behavior of the character Nora. Then she falls on the floor. The only time she gets off, maybe from the chair, maybe once or twice she stands up, and another one is after she does the dance. It is so difficult for her to make the decision to leave her children, especially that she has this crisis and it's physically happening to her, and she falls down. He goes to pick her up, and instead of consoling her and saying, I'm sorry about everything, he says, oh, you are a lunatic. Oh, I knew you were a lunatic. Are you okay? Blah, blah, blah. It was so magical. The dance happening on the chair with her feet and not with the rest of her body, even though she involved all of her body, but she was seated. Who would have imagined that that's possible? And it was so beautifully done that you believed everything. Costumes, everybody was dressed in black. And they were talking about, yes, did you change, Nora? Yes, I changed my costume. And you believe that they changed their costumes, even though they never made one gesture to change the costumes. I mean, it was brilliant. Actions, because I was saying about actions between the two of them. The doctor and her, he says, can you light my cigar? He waits, nothing. Can you light my cigar? That's what I was saying about the actions. They just allowed between them the time that it would take to do the actions as if they were doing them. Can you light my cigar? Yes, I can. As if she was taking out the lighter, but she never does. Thank you. And then he turns and he walks off. And you believe that whole action that we never see. There's no outer actions. Nothing is happening. The words are so important, but that means that you have to allow the subtext to be something so personal to you. That's all you're almost depending on. You're depending on those words to maintain an audience for so long. Beautifully done. That was the exchange. All the other actions were done pretty much similarly. They were just saying them. They gave each other space as if they were doing them the time it would take to do them. So then when she decides to leave, we were like, how's she going to leave? There's no doors. How is the director going to come up with her leaving? And then all of a sudden, she gets up from the chair. So I think the chair was the symbolic way of telling us it meant that she was static. She never did anything. Even the beginning, when she was rotating in the chair, it was like this boredom, not having any purpose. That static characters being where she wasn't doing anything to improve herself as a human being, because she as a woman is not considered to be at the same level of the other human beings, of the men. When she leaves, how is she going to leave? And then the door opens. How does the door open? The door, the back of the theater, which we did not see that there was a difference, goes up Goes up, it opens up, it opens up, it opens up. And we realize when it's in the middle of it, that it's actually opening up into the real street of New York. You see taxis, you see people around, you see the real street. It was out of this world. She walks out. The door opens to the reality of the world as is. She walks out into the street with all the noise of the city coming in, with all the senses exploding inside of the theater. And she walks away from where the door is. She walks off and the door closes. She walked into the world, the real world of what's out there. Never ever did we have an understanding that's what was going to happen. It's very rare, like I said, that you see something that's so extraordinary. And I want to encourage everybody to go. You see brilliance in acting, you see brilliance in directing, you see brilliance in writing, and then you see the mediocrity of the audiences. There were so many powerful moments that were so subtle, feeling everything in the moment. And even though they weren't making a lot of physical gesture or a lot of physical actions, everything was felt because it was so active. Their inner life was so active, and the audiences were laughing. They were laughing at moments where you were supposed to be crying. And I'm not saying some people shouldn't have different emotions in reacting to something, but I just realized there's so many people who don't understand great acting. There's so much mediocrity when it comes to some of the audiences. They don't understand great acting. They were laughing in so many moments, and I was turning to Jeremy, why are they laughing? This is not funny. They were just understanding what was happening on such a superficial level. People are much more secure with mediocrity. It's more everywhere. That's what we're accustomed to, all of us. We can recognize it. And then when we see something that's done in a way that's so authentic and so original and so new, we don't know how to react to something that's great. And I just felt that the audience was, a lot of them were just laughing for no reason, without understanding what was happening. It was just so. And then the reason why I'm saying this is because then I see in the news again, the duo, the Harry and Meghan duo, they're supposed to get another award for her podcast. I mean, I don't know if anybody listened to her podcast. I listened to segments talk about mediocrity. This is lower than mediocrity, her podcast. And it's being awarded. I'm thinking, why? Why are these people? Why is this duo still being given the confirmation that they're doing something which is great? Because in their mind, they don't understand they are not talented. If you are going to keep sending them awards when they don't merit, you're going to put them in their minds to believe that they're actually doing great. I put the two together because I was realizing the reason why they're getting awards, the reason why Meghan is getting an award for her podcast is because most people can relate to mediocrity. Most people, including the ones who are giving her, who are these people? So I was thinking they must be those people, the same people from the same group, from the audience members of the theater, who were laughing at the powerful, subtle moments that were taking place on that stage without getting the depth of it. That's who they are. We are not, unfortunately, faced with greatness in art most of the time. Those moments are very rare. We don't recognize them. So these people who are awarding Meghan and the podcast that was so fake and so false, it had nothing of substance, nothing artistic about it. They are the same from the group of people who are faced with a lot of mediocrity in everyday life. There are rare times when we are witnesses to brilliance, such as a doll's house. That's all I've got for today. Thank you so much. By the way, can you subscribe to this channel? Can you share it, please? I'm trying to grow the audience, as you know, and I'm having such a difficult time. So I need your help. If you like it, please do subscribe. Thank you. Mwah, mwah, mwah.